All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Portsmouth Coffee Talks morning show. And my name is James Slim Overton, and I'm here with co-host Leah Drake Stitt and Thomas the Colonel Chapman. Good morning. We're waiting for our guest to come back up. Okay, he's coming back up on, but co-host, how you doing? And happy, well, I know you had a great Mother's Day this weekend,
I
Leah.
had the best Mother's Day I could possibly have. My granddaughter, it was an honor graduate from North Carolina A&T University.
Aggie
Aggie pride. You know what? And I thought we Greyhounds had pride, but that Aggie pride, I think, is unmatched. It was a magnificent weekend. And congratulations to all of the graduates on yesterday. Natasha, and we also had Jasmine and Jordan, the twins. I think they graduated. If not this weekend, it's next weekend. But congratulations to all of the graduates this weekend on such a fine job done, achieving this next milestone in your lives. Congratulations to all the graduates on yesterday.
You had Malik Hawkins, who
was Malik Hawkins. Malik was with
young celebrity
with us the whole
here.
weekend.
Yeah,
that 757 group from Aggie Land, they were together the entire weekend. So it was a great weekend.
Yeah, well, congratulations to you and all the other graduates out there that's graduating. I think the unions was this weekend as well. If I'm not mistaken. I got an invitation, but of course I couldn't go. But anyway, all the grads coming out of the HBCUs and the PWIs and everything, we wish them the best in their future and whatever they decide to do.
Exactly. Exactly.
Got off to the right start, the right direction.
Exactly.
Well, this morning we have a special guest with us, and his name is James Allmond, James M. Allmond, and he is a Portsmouth resident and IC Norfolk State grad, and he graduated Norfolk State, Bachelor of Science degree in Electronics Technology. And wow, back then that probably was something, a lot of things were starting up when you were graduating there. And we'll talk about, what you saw then. And he is he spent time, he's a veteran, Army veteran, and he spent a lot of time during his high school days and being in plays and things like that. And then he picked up the pen and started putting down his feelings in the form of poetry. And, you don't hear that much. I remember coming up at Union, Nikki Giovanni was a great poet, and she even visited me. I got a chance to meet her. And it was a lot of poetry going on and spoken word during those days in the 70s. You don't hear a lot about it now. I'm sure it's still going on. There are groups that get together and read poetry, but not like you did back then. But poetry, could be something that's personal. It could be something that things that you just observe, just going through life. And I think that's what you have done with your books, Mr. Allmond. Or can I call you James? My name is James.
Yes, of course.
Okay. James. And I put up the book here. I hope you can see it a little bit. I am here. Still a way to go in volume 1 and
that's correct.
Volume 1s and 2. So first we'll start off. I want to ask you, you started writing poetry early. What got you going? I mean, you would just sit down and observe and you found out that I can better express myself by just writing it down. So how did that get started?
Believe it or not, 7th grade. S.H. Clark.
S.H. Clark.
I was there with a lady English teacher named Cherry.
Yes.
Miss Cherry.
Yes.
And one of our assignments was to write a poem. Immediately, I did not understand what poem meant. But I think the last line of the poem was Shakespeare, Longfellow, and all the rest are nothing but rotten finks. If they want us to write any poems, it's definitely going to stink.
Oh my goodness gracious.
That was what I wrote, and I got a smile from Miss Cherry.
Yeah, that was your first dabble in it.
That was my first one.
And now that you mentioned that, I think a lot of our teachers, they might not even have time to get into that now,
Right.
for everything else that they're teaching. But I can remember going all the way back to Douglas Park, where my fifth grade teacher was
Right.
encouraging us to write a poem, and it was all about rhyming then. And
Well,
so we were like rappers, but people don't realize all poems don't have to rhyme, and
that is correct.
Yeah.
Mostly correct.
mostly poems, and people see writings, and if they don't see them rhyming, they don't consider them poems. But poems
Right.
are more of an idea or observation of
Definitely.
what you see.
That's true. That's
So where'd
true.
you go from there after Miss Cherry,
From there,
as far as
uh,
continue writing?
right before I went into the Army, I had a lot of poems I had written in high school after I found out that I could do it. After I found out I could do it, I wrote a lot, but it was used by my brother at the time. So when I got back from out of the Army, everything had disappeared. In other words, he gave them away.
Oh, gave your poems away.
Were they,
Yes, he
was it love poetry and he gave it to his girlfriends?
Evidently, so I was how do you say, I was scanty between what I saw and what I felt at the time. So whatever emotion was arising at that particular time, as I said before, teenage, very young, I went into the service at 18. And so you can understand I was still in that particular mode of enlightenment, how I could do this and write it down, because what are the things I saw and gather them together to what I felt and put them down on paper.
Wow.
That's the way it worked.
And one other question for the other hosts get in here. I'm looking at the table of contents in volume 1 and just kind of get an idea. So once you start writing, you sort of went back into your memory, because I see who am I at 2? And who am I at 3?
Okay.
So you just went back to, once you figured out that you had the art of penmanship, you went back in your memory and started writing about your experiences at a very young age.
I know you won't believe this, but if you read it, it is Moses and Jesus Christ that I was describing. Who am I?
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
You say Moses and Jesus Christ?
Yes.
Explain
Who
that
am
to
I?
me, please.
Say again.
Explain that to me.
Okay. Who am I? I gotta find it first.
Yeah.
Well, while you look for it, Mark,
Page 13, page 12.
yeah,
12 and 13.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I have not done this at all before.
But that's okay. We refresh your memory here. And,
Okay, who am I now? If my choice was right, I never would have been here, but my father deemed it so. Still, I came in a whole, in a world fully committed. I am now accepted at the beginning and the end. What followed then is now forever. Peace on earth, goodwill toward man. That was Jesus Christ.
Okay, all right.
The other one, who am I to? Supposed to be Moses.
Uh-huh.
The first word is lost. That was Moses. He was put on the river in a basket. Lost. I was never told. Found by a house of hold. Deemed a prince once, but later a shepherd. Took more than myself to a place God had rendered. It was not my place to see the end. A new one, called the best one, was to make my journey end. That was Moses.
Okay.
I see. I was looking at the 2 and the 3 as, as far as age, but it was more like TWO. who T-O-O, who am I to?
Yeah.
Yeah, T-O-O.
Well, the reason why that's that way is because it was a typographical error. That's the only thing I can think of.
No,
Because the guy probably was seeing double when he put the two O's in there. I don't know. But there's a lot of typographical errors in both my books. And I'm just saying this to make it clear. If it's necessary, use your own words.
Mhm.
Find out that if that double O is being used correctly, then if you can snatch off that other O, the last O, then you can keep on going. Because like I said,
I think that's fine. It just brings a little dramatics to it. And if
Yeah.
you read it, it'll tell you, you can more understand
Right.
what the meaning is. So having that 2 as a numerical 2 just adds a little bit something. Let people,
Add a little mystery, add a little
yeah, a
mystery
little
to it,
mystery. Let
James.
people figure it out for themselves. Yeah. Colonel, I think you were asking something.
Well, yes, I was going to put our disclaimer in, especially since we went into a religious turn there. That problem with some of the religious right. The views listed on this program or stated on this program are the host and the guests and nobody else, and no third party entities. But in my preparation for the show, I tried to look up the Black poets
okay.
that have come and gone in our history, and I see that. Well, I have a feeling that most of the poets talked about the struggle, especially during the civil rights movement, and our struggles for just trying to live in this country. And I expanded my list in or research and looked at how poetry bled over to say in our rap and into music. And it was kind of interesting there and in that point. Am I correct? Am I going off?
No, I'm not going to say you are, but I'm going to say I agree with you to a point.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have my little struggles in these books, these 2 books,
Right.
and I try my best to come to an end. The solution being better than now. Since I grew up under the excuse the expression of the iron hand, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
And given the opportunity to share with the rest of the people that I was working with or playing with as far as the theater was concerned, that my ambition was just to write this book. And it was my son that helped me to show the rest of the world, hopefully the rest of the world, that I can do this. And it is not easy because I have to sit down and think.
You know, it's interesting you use the phrase iron hand.
Yes.
That iron hand still exists today because it represents a suppressive society on those of color. And you write, and most poets write about the hope that can be achieved, the hopes and dreams, regardless of that suppressive, the trials and tribulations and the weight of a suppressive society puts on man and mankind and people of color, how we still have hopes and dreams all the way going back to a fictitious, say, Kunta Kinte still had,
Okay. Yes, I saw that.
had a view of I can be free one day.
Mm-hmm.
Even Martin Luther King put in his one of his great speeches,
I have a dream.
one day. Some of the songs in America, I want to be free one day. And so
Yeah.
just the word, the phrase that you use, iron hood,
Yes. Iron fist, iron fist, fist.
uh,
Hmm.
resonates today even more.
I agree with you.
Yes.
But since I've been retired from the naval shipyard or the Navy, naval shipyard, in a sense, I agree with you. But I remember the little places as I was getting older that we attended, or I attended, I should say, and I think you probably will be familiar with it also. It was Walker's on Portsmouth
Yes,
Boulevard.
yes.
That was the local place.
Mm-hmm.
Pagans.
And as I said before, there was Fagan's also on Portsmouth Boulevard,
Mm-hmm.
and it was close to home.
Mm.
So when we walked or drove down to Walker's, and that was, excuse the expression, a bang up good time.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Well,
So initially, go ahead. Maybe I should let you go ahead.
no, you go ahead. Go ahead. I didn't want to cut you off.
Initially, that was the, excuse the old cliche, the freedom spaces.
Mhm.
Walkers and Fagans were the
Mhm.
freedom spaces. There you could be yourself or whoever you wanted to be at that particular time.
Yeah, sometimes be outside of yourself.
No comment, I ain't talking like that.
Depends on how much time you spent. Well, we won't go there.
Well, as I said before, that was sort of the jumping off area or the spaces that you could mingle, find out what about other people, how they thought or how they talked,
Right.
that kind of thing. Trying to learn better dancing. I had I guess you call it no, I won't even go there. But he danced very well. He danced very well. So I thought that was my competition. And then I was just doing the boogie woogie, but he was swinging them around. And I go, okay. He was hanging in there with the whirling and the twirling, and I was just bebopping.
Yeah, and you mentioned those places and Walkers and Fagans and other places, but that was all a part of your experience and
Right,
gave you insight as far as what you wanted to write about.
Right.
And a lot of people probably could do that. And it's so good to put down things like that on paper. Let me right quick, let me read this this particular one. I found this one. It's called Through the Back Door. In any hurricane or snowstorm, we have seen weather, winter, spring, summer, or fall. It was you, dear, that stuck with me and loved me as we watched the storms go by.
Mm.
Looking through our backyard, through the blackout days and the cold, no heat nights, through the sunny days and the fogs we could not see. And that's to me, that's an expression of love between two people, their experiences that they had through
Yes.
thick and thin, and that sort of caught my eye there. And especially during after Mother's Day, somebody could
Yes.
express that.
Yeah.
It could be from two partners, it could be from a parent, a kid to the mother,
Mhm.
the storms that they went through.
That's
And
that was a good observation. The reason being was because that was how I saw it at the time. When I looked out my back door, the weather changed, but I still had my wife.
Mhm.
That was the way I looked at it.
No matter what happened out there, y'all
No
still
bad,
had each other. Yeah.
There you go. That's what I was aiming at.
Yeah. How about that?
So now you say that it's a means of finding your purpose. How did you find your purpose? Did someone inspire you besides Mrs. Cherry to find your purpose? And what other things may have occurred in your life to help you to realize, hey, I need to sit down and write these things down so that people can understand my purpose and why I'm here?
The way I understand that question is the fact that, excuse the expression, life is. And that's the way I looked at it. If you look at life and the look around you and the people that are involved in your everyday life or just meeting on the street, or like one of the other poems I think in here about I saw a miracle tonight, about a man that was picked up off of the sidewalk. I saw that.
Okay.
I saw that. So I saw it and I wrote it down. So out my back door, it was just an observation of being able to look out my back door and see foul weather, storm, rain, anything that was coming, it was, the good Lord was throwing down at me, but I was still safe and warm in my home. That was it.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Well,
Colonel? Okay, James, go ahead.
no, go ahead, Colonel.
Well, you know what, and you talked about your loved one and your wife, that you had your wife. And I think that it also, in analysis, what I think about in the struggle is because one, that's all we had in the family unit for us growing up, especially people of color, because the families, I believe, were much stronger back in the day than they are today, because they're really disjointed. We don't know who's the head. You got a mama's a single mother or a single father or whatever, in and out. And so that's a lessons to that we want to look at, strengthen of the family unit that doesn't exist in the context of what was yesterday.
In a sense, I guess I have portrayed that particular type of thing. I think one of my poems in there, it says, I tried to remember Father's Day. I think I got that in one of the volumes. I'm not sure. I tried to remember my father today. That was the first line.
I tried to remember
Is that
my father.
Okay, that's the volume 2 on page 54.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got to get to it. 54.
54.
Mm-hmm.
Father's Day is title. Yeah,
Yeah, Father's Day.
Mhm.
Should I?
Go ahead, please.
Okay. Father's Day. I tried to remember my father today. Hopefully, I have succeeded. It was not always what he left for me, but what I carried with me. My children don't know the times of my father or what he had to really go through when you crawl back in time. It was my father that always came through. It was he that was always needed. Encouragement, attaboy, son or daughter. It would make a scar sometimes, make it scare sometimes of the things you wanted would never come true. But if it were not for him, you would never be conceived. I tried to remember my father today. When you crawl back in time with me, I hope I have succeeded. It's not always what I learned from him, but what I have to leave with them. That I am my father's child. Without him, there would be no me. It was he I always needed. It was he that I sacrificed. If not there, when I marched with the band, I tried to remember my father. I tried to remember my father today. To me, I think I have succeeded.
Well, that would be great for Father's Day, huh? Coming up soon.
Yeah,
it wasn't a plug. It was not a plug.
We'll plug it. You need to get this book, and it's funny. It's always a joke about, Mother's Day comes and it's been here and it builds up to it, and Father's Day just
kind of breezes
by. And like you said in the poem, if it wasn't for the father, you wouldn't be here.
Right.
Of course, the mother, was there too, but the father has to be a combination. And
Mhm.
as we talk about passing down history, I think it's important to pass down family legacy to the history, because like you said, a lot of children don't get to meet their grandparents.
Right.
You know, their grandparents succumb before they're born, or they're too young
Uh-huh.
to remember.
Uh-huh.
And to have something written down expressing how you felt about your father
Yes.
passes something down to the grandparents, so they'll know, okay, this is it gives them an image of the grandfather that
Exactly,
they've never
exactly.
experienced. So it's important to either do it this way or just talking about it, you know, passing that
Mhm.
history.
Right.
Then the pride comes, you know, in
Mhm.
family, in your family legacy. So this is, I like that poem too. I put a mark there too.
Okay, thank you.
I'll
Now
bring it
tell me
back up again on Father's Day. I'm
Here
gonna
we-
read it.
Okay.
He'll read it for himself, just in case he doesn't get a card. I think he
Okay.
will. I think Jamie will make sure that he has a card
Oh,
for
yeah,
Father's Day.
she's good about that. She's good
Yes.
about that.
But let me ask you this. Now you have a whirlwind of a daughter named Nikita Allmond.
Yep.
A whirlwind.
Yep.
Has she inspired you to write any poetry at all?
Let me see. No, these books were out. These poems were done while I was consummating, I guess you call it, Nikita. And being a whirlwind, and I am just reminded that she has a lot of me in her to go around and share herself.
Yes, she
Mhm.
When I
does.
found, she played basketball, she's into tennis or volleyball,
Uh-huh.
all of those things. And she's a sports addict, I guess you
Yes,
call
she
it.
Yeah.
is. Yes, she
Yeah.
is.
And she used to play baseball,
The baseball
softball, I should
coach.
say.
And she's a baseball coach now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
That's a little bit new to me,
Yeah. He's the coach at North.
but I appreciate it because she's never came to me to say, what jock do you wear? She never said that.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Didn't get that deep.
No, no.
Yeah, I was wondering, I know that these books were written prior to Nikita, but I was wondering
Right.
if there was anything that she has done that will make you want to sit down and write something about her and about her accomplishments and her achievements and what she brings to the whole family connection there.
I think you after I write volume 3, you'll find something to that effect.
Uh-huh.
And I have not written anything down because the impression I get from her is that she's going off and going so much that when she comes home, she's probably dead, tired, and and not willing to conversate, with the old man, to use the expression.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
that's the way I look at it.
I always wonder about people who write a lot, and and that they're people that write like that and put it down on pen, they always have something going on in their head. And so,
Yes.
and at a young age, I guess, did you have to pull out a paper and pen and write it down as it was happening or as you experienced it? Or could you go home later and pull it, pull it out of your memory and just write down some things? Because I
It
know
was usually
go ahead.
it was usually the after effect because as I said earlier, if I saw it and it felt good or felt needing a touch or two, that's the way I looked at it. So I had to think about it before I wrote it down, just to describe that particular scene or that particular moment at that particular time. So it would be an inspiration just to not sit around, but walk around and think about it, talk around and think about it. Either way, it makes an impression on me and in my mind to put it on paper.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I look at it anyway.
Yeah. Let me make this transition from the radio, and we'll talk a little bit more. We have the radio for a half hour, and then we
Oh,
continue.
okay.
then we continue our discussion on Facebook Live, which we've been on Facebook Live the whole time. But we want to thank all the listeners to WGPL 1350 AM for listening this morning. And we thank you, and we look forward to seeing you next Monday when we have another special guest. Okay, we can make the transition. Well, I'm glad you explained that the way you approach writing, and you know the saying says everybody has a book or two in them. You know,
Yes.
it's just a matter of putting pen to paper and sharing your experiences. And everybody's experiences are different and some very similar. But that's why when you read somebody else's, you can see something in yourself and their experiences because they're similar. But everybody has a little something different the way they approach life in general and the experiences they had. So I'm glad you were able to put yours down on paper. So from now until eternity, we have this these writings here that sort of explored what you were thinking about in your mind as you walk through life. Was it much in the military in here? I haven't had a chance to read all of it, but did you share much about your military experiences? Because the colonel might be interested in that.
The Army was my gateway to international exchange. As far as I went to Germany, I went to a radio tech school in Lindgries, Germany. And there I got together with two guys and we were wearing derby hats, mustaches, canes, dress suits. And we were the three dudes on stage. So I got that in my background also. And volume 3 will probably have that in it also.
So you did a little acting there as well, not just writing, but acting as well.
Of course. I can't get away from the stage.
So you love the stage, huh?
Yes, since I did Dracula in high school.
I have that in the yearbook, remember? It was in the yearbook. Yes.
I remember I was in it.
Yes.
That was the time Robert Wynne Jackson was there as well?
Right.
Yes. And that's when acting was a huge thing at IC North High School.
Yeah, it drawed a lot of people outside of the school to come there.
Exactly.
And we talked about that with Norma Ragland out of Norfolk State.
Really?
Yeah. Yes. We had her on the show and talked about, because she was at Clark at one time.
Okay.
I think she went to Norcom as well before she ended up at Norfolk State.
Right.
Yeah. So it was a big thing, the productions that they had at Norcom.
Great Mother's Day.
The productions they had at Norcom. They had the Dracula thing, and there was something else they used to show. Maybe that was the Dracula thing. It was very dramatic. Well, no, it was Frankenstein.
I would like to think if you're going into the spookology of theater, I also was Dr. Frankenstein.
Okay, that's one I remember because they used to go around. I think I was in junior high school at Waters, and they teachers came around or students came around from Norcom with that presentation of Frankenstein when they throwing pods, pulling pods out and stuff. It was very real to us.
So what other productions did you participate in?
Were there other productions? Witness for the Prosecution. I was the guy in the wheelchair, the lawyer.
Okay.
That was, let's see, Frankenstein I also told you about. And the local stuff after high school. I was working with, I can't remember his name, Montague. And he was doing little theater of Norfolk. And I worked with him and we visited a couple of schools. That I do remember, but that was the background as far as not being able to remember everything. Not everything, I can't remember everything, but I'm working on it.
Yeah, but just
But
remember,
the thing is, you're putting it on paper. That's the good thing.
yeah,
There you
just,
go.
just think about if we had the technology that we have now to film, everybody has a phone
Right,
and they
right.
could have filmed some of those plays. 'Cause
right.
most of those plays now are etched in our memories if you got a
Yeah.
chance to see them and we can talk about it. But that's technology comes as it comes. So speaking of technology at Norfolk State, and you went into technology, I guess it was in the early 70s.
Later 70s.
Later
'cause
70s?
I graduated 67 from Norcom, went to Norfolk State in 67, all the way up to 70. And after that, I went to Norfolk State in 70, my mistake. From Germany to Norfolk State to the Norfolk Naval Shipyard. That was my route.
So you majoring in technology at Norfolk State during those days,
Yes.
in 67. What was the hot technology? What was hot in technology back then? Was it, I know computers were starting, I mean, they were huge. The computers were the size of buildings back then, but what was the hot technology item or what was coming, then?
I don't remember what was coming, but I remember the receiver 442 and the 524 was the transmitter. And that was one of the reasons why I went to Lindgries, Germany, to be able to fix the radios and receivers on site, change a module or that kind of thing. Basically, that was what we were taught in Germany, in Lindgries, to change modules if one went bad. So the radios were the 442 and the radios were the 524 and the receivers were the 442. I'm sorry.
Wow. And look where we are now.
I'm on a screen in front in my house.
Yeah, you're talking to us.
Right, I forgot that part.
Who would have thought? But except in back then in science fiction movies that we could see.
Yes.
Or Dick Tracy talking into his watch.
Yes, the two wrist radio.
Yeah. But now we're here.
The technology has taken us a long way, it seems, huh?
It
And a
has.
long way to go.
Oh, yes, I'm here still a way to go.
It's
But-
still a way to go, that's for sure.
But
Colonel?
so does the written word.
Colonel?
It's interesting how the arts and humanities shaped your life from past to now the present. And I sort of bring a tear to my eyes to see that the realization that kids coming up through K through 12 today won't have that experience that you had from back in the day, because we don't put a value on arts and humanities. It's just brushed over for a lot. And because we want to test, teach for these SOLs to get kids out. And so we don't have that piece. And I think the kids in the next generation miss out. And so that's one point that I had to put out there. But the other thing too is in your journey, you said that after high school, you went into the military. And I have to say that the military has opened so many doors for you and others. Post, even if you don't stay, if you got out, because it also, that service time opened the minds and also opened up doors and other opportunities that led you,
Right.
say, go to Norfolk State. You had the GI Bill, if I believe,
Right,
to help pay for the tuition and
that's correct.
stuff like that. And so that's just a small piece that the military and the federal government gave you. So it gave you a chance for the upward mobility with that. Slim's father went to law school, GI Bill. I also did the military after high school. Paid for, the couple degrees,
Right.
stayed on the that and went to Hampton when the GI Bill. So it is done so much. And so I just had to make that comment.
Mhm.
Okay. You're doing great.
Yes.
Because that was exactly what happened. And
Yeah.
I used the as you said, I used the fees or whatever they were called then back then to go to school as far as college was concerned, and found out about electronics tech and found out that when I went to the shipyard that they didn't have an R a receiver 442 and a transmitter 524. So I had to start on something that I could and I knew I could try my best to do, and that was woodworking.
Mhm.
Oh, woodworking.
Yes.
So
So
that made
Hey,
you
James.
well-rounded.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, that was one of the reasons why I used the program that the shipyard was using to learn woodworking, the apprenticeship school. And that was another little piece of paper that I got.
Mhm.
So I was an apprentice from the North Naval Shipyard with woodworking ability also. So the group of people that I met there were an inspiration, so to speak. So I got a couple of them in my book. Brown versus Brown was one of the poems I got in my book. Brown versus Brown was the black brown and the white brown. So that was conflict there. And they were fussing at each other because both of them knew plumbing.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Both of them knew plumbing, and you could hear the sparks fly when they were talking.
So Brown versus Brown.
Yeah, Brown versus Brown. You'll
Mm.
find that in one of the volumes. I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm gonna look that up because it'd
Which
be
one?
interesting to see how that
Yeah,
was,
you have
one black
Brown
and
versus
one white,
Brown.
Yeah, one was white,
Yeah.
one was black.
how they were thinking at that time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. You know, that's deep. And then when you say brown versus brown and the white brown and black brown, I in my back of my mind, I look at that conflict and that a light-skinned brother and a dark-skinned brother, and how society looks at each one and how they're grown up and how they look at society.
Exactly.
Society
Exactly.
looks at them. And that's what I see, see that in the back of my mind, see that conflict. Even though they're the same, they're not the same.
Mhm.
Right.
Yes.
The black brown, I'm going to get a little deep now. The black brown says,
Bless you.
had you come, if the had you come was the purpose of the conversation, but the black brown asked him, had you come to that conclusion.
Had you come. Had you come.
Mhm.
Not how'd you come. Had you come.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah,
So
and a part in here too says, a man called Brown, to stress, strain, and tears. You don't know me from Adam, yet you treat me like a dog, a non-humane, not knowing anything about me at all. That's just a part of it. So I assume he was talking about the white Brown,
Mhm.
Yeah,
not knowing him from Adam, but
yeah,
treating him like a dog.
yeah.
Mm,
So that says a lot right there in that paragraph there.
that's right.
It's a lot more to it. So you have to get the book to read the rest of it. So
Thank you.
And
Thank
you can purchase the book on Amazon.
On
It is
Amazon.
on Amazon.
very affordable. You can get
Very
both of them at the
affordable.
same time, so.
And so, James, maybe you would share with us just a couple of titles out of the book.
Okay. Don't Place Me World is one I like.
Don't Place Me World.
Place. Don't
Okay.
Place Me World.
Okay.
That's
J.
volume
A.
2.
Volume 2.
Yeah, on page 25.
Also in that volume, you will see JAP. I was in love with my cousin in high school. And I didn't know that she was my cousin. So I had to put J.A.P.
Uh-huh.
Just another person.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was imperative back in our day because your parents always want to know, who are your parents?
Yeah.
Who are your parents?
And
Because
that
if they
was-
know who your parents are, then they know who you are. So very
that-
important.
was-
JAP.
That was one of the reasons they asked that question, because in our neighborhoods, you know, it could have been some, you know,
Right,
Some
right,
family
things
member
going
name.
on that
right.
you
That's
you
true.
dating your cousin or your sister. But
Exactly. You
so
didn't
it's
know.
important to know.
But right, at that particular time in the history of my upbringing, so to speak, that was one of the things that I was told after the fact.
Uh-huh.
After the fact, said, "Well, she's your cousin." Whoa, what?
So let me
Yeah.
back up. Let me back up.
There
a
you go.
little.
There you
That's
go.
for
And
sure.
then they try to explain it by saying, "Oh, she's a 5 times removed," but
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
right.
still your cousin.
She's still your cousin.
This is not English royalty, you know, but try to keep the
Keep the bloodline going. Keep the
keep the
bloodline
bloodline
going.
Right,
going.
right.
Uh-huh.
But you know, and it's important. I hope people that watch this, adults and young people, know how important it is to write down your experiences. You know, and you don't have to be a trained novelist or a trained writer to.
And you don't have to rhyme it. Don't
You
forget.
don't
that.
have to rhyme it for it to be called a poem. A poem.
Right.
You know, I guess if you look up the definition of poem, it'll tell you exactly what it is, and it's not always rhyming. But we were
Right.
brought up to think it had to rhyme.
Had to rhyme.
Right.
And just like nowadays, I think in the beginning, rap used to have to rhyme, but now it doesn't have to rhyme. It just has to give that message, you know, that they're trying to get out.
And you know, and James and Colonel made a crucial point earlier
Mhm.
about the SOLs and how back then teachers could take the time
Yeah.
to take you through that writing experience.
Yeah.
But now, because of the concentration so much on passing the SOLs, you kind of breeze through certain subjects. But
Right.
in writing, it helps you to expand your mind,
Yeah.
helps you to expand your thinking, you
Help
know.
with that critical
It
thinking.
brings that clarity comes into place. But you know, it's a shame that we've gotten to a place now where they can't really take the time to work with the young people on their writing skills, period.
Right.
Yet more writing poetry. So I wish we could get back to that writing, and maybe if younger people could, or all people can just put down what their thoughts are, what their feelings are, it will alleviate a lot of the problems that we're having in society if you could just write it down, see it, and ingest it into you, as opposed to just keeping it inside internal and not
Right.
being able to express what it is you're feeling. So I really wish that we could get back to that point where you could really sit down and work with children on their writing skills and on their thinking skills.
And you're so right, Lee. I think it's good to encourage the young kids to write it down, because you'd be surprised. At a time when I had a lot of time on my hand, I just started writing down things, and I would go back and read it and be surprised that came out of me.
Yeah.
But your mind is always moving and thinking
Mhm.
about things, and you don't know until you put it down on paper and you go back and look at, did I come up with that? You know, but you know, once you start doing it, you'll realize how deep you might be, how
Exactly.
deep all of us are in our thoughts. You know,
Mhm,
you just put it down in pen on paper, and you realize. And I'm sure that's what happened to you, James. I'm sure
It
you
is.
realized, say, wow. You know,
It is.
and it's probably also helps, you know, as we talk about, and I'll bring this up. This is Mental Health Month, and it also helps there, you know, expressing yourself and writing it down.
Right.
'Cause not everybody can verbally express themselves, but
Right.
sometimes putting down your thoughts down on paper, it might help you. Might be kind of therapeutic for you to be express yourself rather than holding it all in. If you can't
Exactly.
speak it, write it down
Right.
and somebody else might be able to look at it and say, okay, this is what we need to help him, because this stuff is, you always see these things after people had done what they call them, manifestos or something like that. After
Yes,
people have
indeed.
done
Yeah.
some horrific things, and you see
Yes.
this manifesto, if it had been seen before
Right.
that person
mhm.
did the act, you might have been able to prevent that act or save that person.
Exactly.
So it's
Exactly.
important to put pen to paper.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you also talk about the manifesto. That manifesto also, if nobody saw it, also explains why the person did that horrific.
Mhm.
And it
Exactly.
takes the
Exactly.
ambiguity out of something that was bad. And it also teaches us we need to get people help before they do those acts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
That's just a lesson to the wise. You know, one thing I want to do is rewind and make a comment that Slim talked about the grandparents. Is most grandparents were missing out because they are the historians of the family tree line.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So, you know, we have to have our youth listen, spend time with the grandparents, because they're going to tell you about cousin fifth remove is
Mm-hmm.
and tell you about, that's really your cousin and this is why
Right. Right.
you shouldn't venture down that road.
Yeah, Fred slipped in the back door.
Grandparents will, because they're out there, they'll tell you this is a story. They have it all done. And so I just had to make that comment.
Yeah.
Well, you've been there. When was the last time you went to a family reunion?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Now do you understand?
Mhm.
It took maybe family reunions in Suffolk. That's where the bulk of my family, well, my father's family was. So my mother's family also, my grandfather in Truxton.
In Truxton.
Yeah. Yes, I had to
Mr.
throw that-
Mr. Benny,
I
your
had to-
grandfather.
I had to throw that in. I had to throw that in.
Yeah.
Anyway, the people that I have met in the family reunions also had what's the word I'm looking for? They made an impression on me also.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they gave me also opportunity to share them with, excuse the expression, with the world. I hope that they are a part of me.
Mm-hmm.
You have become a part of me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I tried to synthesize my two books here. Into you have become a part of me.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
Wow. And what would you say to, and I just mentioned about young kids or even adults holding stuff in, and trying to internally deal with something that needs to get out of them in order for them to cope. What would you say to, someone who potentially might want to write poems or put their expressions down and don't think they're worthy of it because they haven't been trained in it or something like that, or they didn't go to school and major in writing or something like that. But anybody, and like I said earlier, everybody has a book or two in them. So what would you do to encourage people to follow that avenue if they wanted to?
The best way I have found for myself, I'll put it like that, in make yourself aware of your surroundings, the people you talk to, the expressions that they use. Just like talking to Nikita the other day, and she says, I was asking my daughter-in-law had received a copy of my book, and Nikita came in with the word Everybody done seen that. Everybody know about that, but everybody.
Yeah.
You sound just like her.
Well, believe it or not, okay, we'll go ahead. We won't go into that. But when she said everybody, I said everybody don't know about it because I'm asking for a chance to be global, that is when everybody gonna know about it.
Indeed, yeah. I think that people will miss out if they don't get this book and
Yeah.
and share along with you the experiences that you had. And like I said earlier as well, you'll see something similar in some of your experiences through your poetry.
Yes.
So, and it might encourage other people to write things down too.
I'm hoping that because of our conversation, that you have influenced the people that have been overwhelmed with their feelings, that they can put them out or down on paper or go on top of a hill and yell, either one.
But get it out. The main thing is getting it out.
That's what
Getting it out.
Then some of those things.
You remember.
I remember.
So, yeah, some people, because we don't want a bunch of Edgar Allan Poes out there. This, clearly
okay.
what he wrote, it was clearly to see that he was disturbed. But he wrote those things and very entertaining. But it gives the people that study human behavior an opportunity to say, okay, let's study this guy. What was on his mind? Because you can see in his writing that he had some issues, but he was a gifted writer.
You got that right.
And but he clearly has some issues, but you can see other things. You can see positive things in people as well through their writing. So like what we're seeing here in your 2 volumes.
Okay.
So once again, James, hold the book up, and the book written by James Allmond is I Am Free. And the book I am free.
I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, I'm here. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. It's one of those, it's a Monday morning for me, okay?
Yeah.
I am here. I am here. And what is the second line?
Still a way to go.
Still a way to go.
Still a way to go. And that
says something
be
in
purchased
itself
on Amazon, and it is very reasonable. And maybe you want to read about the some of the things that inspired Mr. Allmond, and you can do so by purchasing the book on Amazon.
Indeed.
And we hope that he plans to continue to write and share his thoughts and dreams so that we can go back and read those items as well. Now, did you have anything in that book about those days when you were running through Truxton, coming to see your granddaddy? Huh?
Confidentially, no.
Oh, no. So Mr. Bennett and the visits to Truxton just didn't make the cut, huh? You weren't ready. You're too young. You were too young then.
I was too young then, yes, but I wasn't too young to not fall in love with your sister.
Oh my goodness! I have to let her know that. Okay?
Cheryl already knows. She already
knows. I will remind her. Okay.
Then I saw you.
Oh my goodness! Just like in the Bible with Rachel and Leah. Leah is always the second thought. What is this? Huh? What is this?
All right, now y'all might be cousins. All right.
Hey, but the thing is to note is that James and his brother, Mr. Benny, was their grandfather, and Mr. Benny lived in the house right behind my mother's house. Right. And James and his brother his brother stayed with Mr. Benny, and James would come to visit in Truxton with Mr. Benny, and but his connection in Portsmouth is just too deep. It's just too deep. Well, and it's good to see where you are today, as opposed to where you were back then when you were running back and forth through the neighborhood. Okay.
Yeah, but that's what a little kid did.
That's what they did. That's for sure. That's for sure.
And as we wind down, coming to the 7:30 hour, any last comments from our co-hosts?
Well, Mr. Allmond, go ahead, Colonel. I always go first. You go first this time, Colonel. Mother's Day, I'm giving you leeway, Colonel.
Oh, no, it's Mother's Day, so you have to go now.
Well, she calling you a mother?
Hey, fathers can be mothers. I was made aware of this the other day when a young man told me, he said, I have been the mother of my children. So fathers can be mothers, can be nurturers as well. Okay.
Well, I say this Dr. Bruce Copeland is watching, he would disagree with that.
Oh, Lord.
Fathers
Bruce
being
Copeland.
mothers
Oh,
and
Bruce.
mothers
Now,
being
don't say
fathers.
Bruce. Don't say Bruce, please. Okay, but let me go back to what
Okay.
I was saying there. Mr. Allmond, thank you so very much. James, for sharing your thoughts with us. And it's good to know that you were inspired by Miss Cherry while you were in middle school.
Right,
Back then we called it junior high school,
right.
S.H. Clark Junior High. And I'm glad that you brought my memory back to the days when Norcom actually had stage plays. I mean, full dramatic stage
Mhm.
plays, and you were a part of that. And
Yes.
I just want to thank you for your journey. I want to thank you for sharing your journey with us. And I pray that you will continue to write because there's still so much more to share. So
Yes.
I hope that you will continue sharing your thoughts and dreams, keep putting it to paper. And maybe one day I'll learn to be a poet as well. How about that? Maybe one day I'll learn how to sit down and write some poetry too. If I can just take the time to sit still for a moment. But I want to just say thank you so very much for all that you've done. And I will read your poems and to see what your thoughts were back in the day. And I
Okay.
just want to say thank you so very much for sharing
Thank
with
you.
us on this morning.
Thank
Colonel?
you.
Yes. Now that I'm allowed to go second.
I thought you were going first.
Yeah, I was first, but now I'm second. But on and expressing everything that you and expressing your views and opening up people's eyes on poetry. But I'll echo back to what we were celebrating or looking at is the mental health month.
Right.
To tell people, young and old, that maybe poetry and even to the point of writing a diary so you can
Right.
go
That's good.
as a cathartic to get your views out and those thoughts out, and so it may help you in the long run, and so short run and long run. So that's just a comment that I have, so I'll echo in. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate you too, and people who keep daily journals have often turned into books. But I'm gonna say for Leah, and you asking him to continue writing, I think it says it all in the title. I'm here, still a way to go, which
You're the way to
means
go.
he still has some things to say. So we can look
Amen.
forward to volume 3 or whatever he wants to call it as he goes forward and sharing his thoughts and visions with us. And we appreciate you coming on and being a part of us today on here on Portsmouth Coffee Talk. And as every week,
Before we go
go
out,
ahead.
James, let me say happy belated Mother's Day to all the mothers, the mommies, the my dears, the moms, whatever you choose to call that person who has taken care of you and nurtured you. It could be an auntie, it could be a grandmother, it could be a father. Anyone who has nurtured you through your life, I want to say happy belated Mother's Day to each of you. And I'd also like to say congratulations once again to all who graduated either from that fabulous HBCU that you attended or PWI. It does not matter. As long as you have put in those 4 years and you have achieved another milestone in your life. So congratulations to all the graduates and happy belated Mother's Day to all of the mothers and nurturers out there in the world.
And I'll also like to say congratulations to the graduates, and especially those that graduated out of Virginia Union University. The ones that came out of the School of Theology that'll be preaching somewhere soon. But your life is just beginning. So I'm glad that you had the opportunity to go to school and get that education, but don't stop there. As the colonel would say, you need 2 or 3 masters in order to make it in this world today. So continue your education in whatever you do. It could be in the classroom, or it could be sitting down talking to your elders. You know, some of the best shows we've had on here is talking to people in their 90s and 90s. And the wealth of information they could share of their experiences is second to none. And So make sure you sit down and talk to your elders and learn what you can, especially about those cousins. But anyway, Portsmouth Coffee Talk is here for our boss.
Our community.
Okay.
And our-
Okay.
And we salute you, sir.
James. We
Thank
salute you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you so
having
very
me.
much.
Okay.
We appreciate you.
Come back when you write those other books.
Okay, I will.
Or just come back in general. All right. Take care, everybody. We appreciate you.
Thank you so very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.